print on dark shirts, you need to put a layer of what's called pretreatment on the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Consider this like a primer, okay? And that primer does two major things. One, gives the white ink a coverage coverage to adhere to, and then two, it holds the fibers down so that your prints come out nice and shiny and bright and all kinds of good stuff. So you can pre-treat manually by using a Wagner spray gun or by using a roller, but preferably you want to get into a pre-treat machine, especially if you're going to get into a production shop. So my big thing that I always tell everyone is when you're looking at direct-to-garment printing, you either one need to put a pre-treat machine in the budget, which right now, your good ones are going to run between $2,000 and $5,000, or understand that you're going to want to purchase that within the first couple months, typically, of starting out. So it doesn't have to be immediately because you're going to do a little bit of a learning curve anyways. So let's take that chunk into play. And then, for instance, the polyprint, it's right under 16,000. So you grab that, you got a pre-treatment machine, call it, there's a couple out there that I really like between $2,000 and $3,000, and then a heat press. The heat press is also one thing that a lot of people skimp on. And unfortunately, this is one of the things that when you buy it out of China, it just doesn't work for long. Okay.
Well, so pay for what you get here?
Yeah. If you want to buy a $500 heat press every month or every couple of months, go for it. That's a fine business model if you want. I want to buy it and not have to worry about it. So
what's the cost of, what should you budget in for that?
Usually around $2,000 to $3,000. In all honesty, I mean, there's other ones that are under $2,000 that I still like. I really like the Stahl's Hotronics heat presses for a couple of reasons. That's all I've ever ran for the last 10 years. And they have an amazing warranty on their heating element. And I've never had any of mine go out with the heating element. So, man, I've had one of them for, right at 10 years now. So they have a couple. They have their Fusion, an Air Fusion, and then they also have their Auto Clam. But they have a version where it actually will hover as well, which for DTG is great. So look that one up. The Fusion or the Hotronics Clam that has the hover option on it.
Sure.
Those are great. And they're around $2,000, right? So all said and done, typically you're going to be around $20,000 getting into this. Now, that's based off polyprint. Depending on other models, it could go up to 30 and above. When I first got into it, with everything else we were buying, I think we spent like 32 getting into it. But we recouped those costs very quickly, pretty much within the first year, I would say. And it was worth it to us at that point because we were able to recoup those costs because we're not saying no, but we were being more smart about the yeses we were saying.
Sure. That's very interesting. So about, call it 20 to 25. Sounds like minimum.
Yeah, typically. I mean, and when you're adding it in and you're an existing shop who does vinyl already and stuff, you're going to have the majority of things you need. You're going to have heat press. You're going to have that.
Can you buy used, or it sounds like, especially with direct-to-garment printers and the ink maintenance, buying used sounds a little bit worrisome.
It is. So can you buy a used DTG printer? Sure, you can buy anything. Do I recommend it? 99% of the time, no, I do not. The only reason I would recommend it is if it's from a dealer or if the manufacturer has some refurbished items or something like that. If you're looking at something direct-to-garment used, a couple of tips. One, ask about the warranty and ask for proof that the warranty is still valid and that if it is, it can be transferred to you.
Sure.
That's a big caveat when we talk about warranties, right? Sometimes they can't be transferred to another company. The second thing is, when was the printhead replaced? This is another thing to think about when you're buying a DTG. How much does a printhead cost to replace? I can't say how great any printer is without telling everyone I talk to that you eventually will have to replace a printhead, period. It's just going to happen, okay? And they usually last 1 to 3. And I've had actually one of my brother machines. We've had printheads, the same printheads in it for about 5 years, and so that's been great. I mean, we use it all the time. We maintain it really well, but typically 1 to 3 years is what you're seeing a printhead, depending on how much you're using them. So, asking someone, when did you replace it? Can I see the receipts or proof of it being replaced? It's just really tough when you buy these used.
Sure. Yeah, you just don't have any idea. And they probably won't have the receipts anyway from.
That's the crappy part about it. Versus like, I could go out and buy a Riley Hawkins that's 10 years old and throw on some new springs and some other parts, and it'll be like a brand new press
Right.
outside of a couple things, right? Unfortunately, it's not like that with DTGs. The other thing is the technology is moving so fast. You've got new technology coming out every year. Your average printer is, you have a newer version of that printer every 3 years. That's why it's really important too, whenever you're looking to get one, making sure that, who is supporting this, who can I rely on when I have questions or issues and things like that. So yeah, that's where it's also tough. You buy one used. I mean, even if you buy one used from a guy that tells you he's going to maintain it for the next year, I don't know. That's still just really tough because you have no clue.
Yeah, the maintenance is a lot more important here.
Right. I mean, you really have no clue. Like even, if we go to sell our F2000, I mean, I don't know that I would want to sell it unless it was to someone right down the road, because I know I've taken great care of it all day long. But if I sell to someone and I don't know exactly what they're going to do with it, what happens if me as the seller selling it to someone who doesn't do things right, and then a month goes by and they're like, hey man, this thing needs a new head, or this is going on.
Right.
How can I then prove that, well, this wasn't because of me, right? Or I don't need to pay for this head.
Sure.
So it's even tough selling a used DTG. So you want to get one that you're going to have for a
while. Yeah, that makes sense.